Taking guests' orders. In this lesson, we'll be looking at how to take guests' orders. This is quite an important step. If you get the guest's order wrong, you'll ruin their dining experience. We'll be looking at timing when taking orders step by step, and tips for taking orders. Let's start with timing when taking orders. If your establishment adheres to LQA standards, the food order should be taken within 10 minutes of the guest being seated. Make sure you know the standard at your establishment. But also be aware of other signs that the guest is ready to order. For example, if you can see they are in a rush, they have closed their menus, or they are trying to catch your eye. Children can become unhappy and irritated when they are hungry. So, it's great service to ask the adult guests whether they would like you to take the children's orders earlier so that they can eat first. Remember that happy children are happy parents. Similarly, elderly guests may also want to order slightly earlier in the evening than some of your other guests. Sometimes elderly guests don't stay up quite as late as younger guests, and so may want to eat sooner. Now let's look at taking orders step by step. Let's take a step-by-step look at how to take the guest's order. Step 1. Fetch your prepared docket book and a working pencil or pen. Step 2. Approach the table and stand somewhere where you're out of the way of other servers. Don't stand too close or too far from the table. Remember that body language should be positive, bending forward slightly to show guests that you are attentive and talking specifically to them. Step 3. Walk around to each guest and take their order individually so that you can make your service personalized and hear each guest properly. Remember to write down the guest's order at their position numbers on the docket. Remember to ask about cooking temperatures and preferences. For example, if the guest orders a steak, ask how they would like it done. Also, recommend side dishes, such as vegetables or sauce, where appropriate. Finally, let's look at tips for taking guests' orders. Let's start with shorthand. Work with your colleagues and the kitchen to find shorthand for the dishes on the menu. For example, FC for fish curry, or BS for broccoli soup. The docket must always be neat and easy to read. Shorthand will help you keep it neat. Let's finish with off-menu requests. If a guest would like to order something that is not on the menu, try to accommodate them as best as possible. Find out from the kitchen what is possible. If the kitchen can't accommodate the guest, suggest alternatives or a similar item. So to recap, in this lesson, we looked at timing when taking orders step by step, and tips for taking orders. Good luck following these tips and steps when taking guests' orders. Staggering orders. Let's take a look at how to stagger the orders at your establishment. We'll be looking at understanding staggering, speeding up service, and slowing down service. Let's start with understanding staggering. Sometimes service can get very busy, with lots of guests arriving at the same time. You might also have a fast-paced service style, or have guests who are in a hurry. You can then help the kitchen by staggering your table's orders. In other words, timing the order process to help the kitchen. You learned in the lesson on the orientation that you usually deliver the menu to the guest after you have seated them. From there is a standard flow that you have seen. Do your orientation and inform the guest you'll be back in a few minutes to make a recommendation and take drinks orders. Return and make a recommendation tailored to your guests. Give the guests a few minutes to consider the recommendations, and return and take their order. There are a number of ways in which you can combine these steps to speed up or slow down service. Let's look at speeding up service. If you have guests who need to be somewhere at a certain time, or your style of service is fast-paced, there are a number of ways in which you can speed up service. You can shorten the time between delivering the menu and delivering your recommendations. Make your recommendation when delivering the menu, or you can combine the recommendations and ordering process. You might recommend the lionfish and the guest will immediately say, "I'll have that." This is why you always have your docket book with you. This might be the case for guests who have a meeting after lunch, or have a show to get to after dinner. Now, let's look at slowing down service. Just as you can combine the steps in the ordering process to speed up service, you can also draw the process out by leaving more time between the steps. Seating the guest, then delivering the menu a few minutes later, and then going back after that to recommend dishes, giving them a while to think about it before taking orders. Some examples of tables where you could apply this approach is with couples on a romantic dinner, or guests on holiday. So in this lesson, we looked at the following points: understanding staggering, speeding up service, and slowing down service. Good luck adjusting your service for your establishment and guests.